Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Anchor Watch. I'm your host, Bobby Jones, along with executive producer Sam Osterholt. There's a lot to get to, Sam. How you doing to start off?
Good. It's my office is too cold, so because it's so cold where I am. So now I have
Mm,
this like sort of golden amber light. I
mm.
apologize for that, everyone, but I know it's kind of moody.
No, it's fine. We're complaining about the cold down here in 20 degrees and stuff. I'm looking up where you guys are. It's like negative. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll stop bitching. It's cruel up there, man. I
Yeah,
don't know how y'all live like that, but
it's rough. It's rough.
mm,
I lived in
well,
Minneapolis for 10 years, and that is like, by the way, speaking of rough,
mm,
50,000 people hitting the streets in Minneapolis,
in that
negative
weather.
10, negative 15. That we are, all of us have nothing to complain about.
No, and I'm glad you started off with that because, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening in Minneapolis in this great state of Minnesota is a blueprint on how you push back. So they really, and by they I mean the Trump administration, really thought that they would be able to intimidate this group. It's not a coincidence that they have a large population of immigrants there because Minnesota has long been thought of as a very welcoming state. They always have been. Just generally good people. I know plenty of people from that state, and all of them are good people. But most importantly, I think the Trump administration mistook their kind nature for weakness. The clips of them in the streets, like you said, negative 10, out there. The thing that led to Alex Pretty's death, the make no mistake, and I'm not here to debate this with anybody. That man died trying to protect a woman. Now, all these red pillars, all these Republicans, the Matt Walshes of the world who talk about masculinity and all that, that man did everything that you brag about you would do. All right. Woman was pushed down to the ground, assaulted, and this man stood in the way. Right.
Yep.
That right there is all you need to know. And I think this is one of the reasons why this is hit different across the country than other things that have happened. And then, of course, the Second Amendment, the gun issue, et cetera, et cetera. But out of all the things that we've seen that have happened since this immigration crackdown has happened, the separation of children has come back into play. Now, Tom Homan, the man who's been sent to, basically fix Minnesota, he got an award from President Obama during his administration because he was still, the border czar person, all this other kind of stuff. And they did deportations, but he wanted to do family separation under Obama. And the Obama administration said, hell no, you're not doing it. They went out of their way to make sure he did not do it. So he kept the same position. Trump comes into office. He floats the same idea. All of a sudden, it's implemented. And then in the second Trump term, not only is it implemented, it becomes actual policy. And so what they didn't expect, or I guess did not think through, that people have cameras everywhere in their phones. And so the story of little Liam Ramos hit people in all sorts of ways. Him wearing his little blue hat, being separated from his family, to the point where the outrage was so loud. I mean, we're talking about a 5-year-old. And, Representative Castro there. And I'm glad to see that not only were they able to reunite the family, the thing that needs to be, remembered about this, they were doing the legal process to be here. They weren't someone that was avoiding it. They were actually doing it. And this is what America did to him. So there he is, getting to go back home, getting to go into the cockpit, which is really, really cool. Living the dream of a 5-year-old that many would want to have their children to be able to do, despite going through the trauma, Sam, of everything. And so the thing that I can we bring up what the federal judge said?
Yes.
Because Sam, I'm not the most verbose person, but man.
Wait, you aren't the most verbose person?
Not like this. Not like this.
Observing. I mean, the judge wrote in regards to the detainment, observing human behavior confirms that for some among us, the perfidious lust of unbridled power and the imposition of cruelty in its quest know no bounds and are bereft of human decency. And that describes the whole ballgame, doesn't it?
First of all, this man's use of the King's English is pretty ridiculous. It almost gives it a founding fathers going back to the Constitution and its intent, feel to it. And I think that's by design. He could have used much simpler words to say this, but by saying it the way it's almost like if someone like Benjamin Franklin wrote it and you're reading it now in real time. But basically, translation for those who, don't really know, he's basically saying there are people in this administration, specifically the government, this administration, that want to be cruel. And there's no limitation to the cruelty. And he implies in order for you to be cruel and do this to kids, to children, is next level. It's next level.
I think I think there's something to be said. Let's just going back to Tom Homan. Tom Homan, yeah. I wrote about him this week for my winners and losers column. He, that Obama piece is really compelling because you're right. Obama gave him an award because he was really efficient at deporting people. And Homan said, no. The best way to do it is to separate kids from their parents. And the reasoning, his reason was, we need to make it so painful to come over here, so terrorizing that they think twice about doing it in the first place. So the whole point was terror, right? Yes. The whole point is cruelty. That is the whole point. And so now we have him in Minneapolis saying, oh no, we're going to do a drawdown. Anybody who thinks that Homan is somehow nicer or kinder or a better face on ICE or immigration is deluding themselves. This is the dude who, a year and a half ago wound up with a bag full of cash.
Yes. Right? Getting paid off. Not
only cruel, he's corrupt.
Yes.
This dude is not fixing anything. Nothing.
No.
I wonder, do Dems fall for this stuff? Are we falling for it?
It shouldn't even be Dems. Just anybody that has any logic-based processing in their mind fall for this. And the reason I say this is he's been interviewed on multiple outlets. I saw him on 60 Minutes, this, that, and the other, mumbling his way through stuff.
Yeah.
There is an apparent trait in him where it's not even about the crime, it's about the punishment.
Yes.
Right. And by him going to Minnesota, in my humble opinion, as long as ICE is there, it's just swapping chairs on the Titanic. It doesn't matter if it's Bavino or Homan or Nome that's up there. The fact that you have chronically, and I'm going to be very clear when I say this, undertrained people in these roles that from, some of them earlier 6 weeks from signing up to being on the streets, 42 days, doing this, executing this, right, is telling. The other piece of Minnesota too that, we found out with the Preddy killing is the two officers that shot him, because it was multiple shooters, are of Hispanic descent. And it got me really thinking, because there's a history in America going back to slavery and slave patrols where you use the people who are oppressed to go find more people who are oppressed trying to escape.
Right.
If you don't know that, people, you really need to look up how slavery worked in this society. When you think about the money that's involved, so you're talking $50,000 signing bonus. Many of these jobs then go on to be six figures. A lot of these cats are taking these jobs because they're so destitute for money. They'd already been rejected by, the military or police department or any other type of government service. And it's a certain level of diabolicalness to this psychologically, where you go and proactively recruit the same type of people that you're trying to get rid of. And I'm going to say something too that people need to go and look and do their history on. People like Lee Atwater in the 80s. Stephen Miller is a disciple of this philosophy because they have done the math. The 3,000 a day that they want to deport is in order for America to remain white majority. Full stop.
Full stop. Yeah, you're
Full
right.
stop. Okay. Now, that being said, when you look at the fact that the birth rate in America is amongst the lowest of the West, we're talking like 25th, 26th, women are not having as many kids. And the reason, there are multiple reasons. They want to blame career, which is why they want to strip women of certain rights so they can get back in the kitchen and have babies. But the other problem they're not looking at, though, is affordability of having kids. They're not looking at that. They're not trying to address that. They just want you to have the kids to maintain a majority. Regardless of how you want to view this and how you digest this, Sam, the fact of the matter is you're losing the battle because you're not fixing the socioeconomic issues where people feel better and more comfortable having children, to include housing, right? You are not doing the things that can provide long-lasting actual health care for people who are born. Our infant mortality rate is ridiculous in the United States compared to other civilized Western nations. Okay, you're doing everything to superficially try to change these numbers instead of the things that actually, if you were serious about trying to keep a majority, you would do to invite people to have kids and this, that, and the other. It's diabolical the way I see it.
Look, I think there are a couple of things here. And one, like, obviously, most people can rationalize this or get their heads around this, that if you want to lower the abortion rate, you do birth control and sex ed, right? Two things that they don't want to do, right? But they're not trying to fix the problem. And I think going back to Alex Preddy, having protected a woman and died doing that, the religious right and white Christian nationalists often talk about their move to protect women.
Yes.
Right. And by protect women, what they really mean is get them out of the job, get them out of their careers, put them in the home, make them have babies and make them continue to have babies and make them care for a man at the very top of the chain who is their boss, who controls them. That's not protecting women. What Alex Preddy did, now that's protecting women. And by the way, he was protecting a woman from a man who was pushing her down.
That's it.
Literally doing her physical harm.
That's it.
That is masculinity.
The psychological reverberations of this particular shooting and killing are fascinating to me because, like I said, Benny Johnson, Matt Walsh, all these dudes that pretend to be that guy have gone out of their way to smear the actual guy who's done all of this. And you have hit on a very, very, very valid point here. By protecting women, first of all, they mean white women. They don't give a damn about black women, Latino women, Asian. No, we're talking about white women. Number two, they're talking specifically about them, like you said, going back to the house and being subjugated by a white man. They have been on record talking about, hey, we will vote as a household. So basically, hey, whatever I decide to vote as the man, you will follow. It is my decision. The hell with you, your voice, and your desires. People, go look them up. They are unabashedly proud of this. And this is one of the reasons why they are advocating and talking about the voter suppression or the voter stealing of 2020, not 2024, 2020, the one that Trump lost. I find it fascinating how they selectively pick what they believe was corrupt and what wasn't. Now, Sam, this leads to the bigger picture with DHS. Homan is now supposedly, he's on ground in Minnesota. They are talking about they're going to draw things down and they're going to put body cameras on ICE and Border Patrol agents. Does that give you a warm and fuzzy as these operations move forward?
No, not exactly. Now they're just going to have footage of all of it. And what, by the way, a lot of those ICE agents have been filming with their own phones already, and they're filming because they want to make promos. They're filming because they have, Palantir software that is tracking faces. Like, I don't know that I want ICE. I don't want to be on an ICE camera. Do you?
No. Well, I think you hit a very valid point. Palantir, the facial scanning that they're doing. I've seen clip after clip of when they find someone recording them, they will turn around, grab their phones, and try to scan their faces, and then say, you know, hey, you may be looked at as a domestic terrorist because you're filming them as agents of the public doing stuff. Now, mind you, these jokers are behind masks. They have no way of identifying themselves. There have been numerous fake agents calling themselves ICE. They have assaulted women. They have illegally assaulted minorities. And I have not heard one damn word from Kristi Noem on how they're going to address this. So if you are in your home and they show up with one of their fake non-judicial warrants that they created out of nowhere, another issue, and they're trying to come into your home, in the state of Georgia and many states, that castle rule, why wouldn't you shoot them if you had a weapon that you legally owned?
Yeah.
Because you don't know if they're true or not.
Well, look, I mean, first of all, you know, we talked about this a little in the green room, that camera footage is great as evidence in an investigation, but they've already said they're not investigating any of this stuff anyway. So what good is this footage? Also, it goes to the sort of heart of good policing, right? Of good law enforcement, the kind of enforcement that's meant to protect people. And this, all of those actions run counter to it, because Minneapolis became a sanctuary city in roughly 2018, I believe, partly because they were horrified at family separation.
Yes.
Homan, right? That's a Homan thing. But also because without the sanctuary status, they were giving their data on prisoners to ICE, right? And ICE was saying, if you have somebody who's suspected to be here illegally, then give us the data, keep them for another couple of days, and we'll come and get them. Or we'll come interview them, we'll come do the investigation. A couple of things happened. One, they held people for 2 extra days illegally. Yep. So there were lawsuits that the city paid for. The people that they did care for the next 2 days, that was on the city's dime. So ICE wasn't paying anything for this. So the city was liable for lawsuits, had to pay for the extra couple of days. And the third, and I think most striking result of all of this, is that any brown person was like, no way am I reporting a crime. No way. Shit's going to happen. It's going to go down, and I will never call the police because they're going to detain me and I'm going to get disappeared. And that doesn't make for good policing. That doesn't make for safer communities. It doesn't make for safer homes, households, anybody. Nobody feels safe under that situation. So sanctuary city always gets this bad rap of being like, oh, you're woke. It's a woke thing. Like, it's a lefty thing. Sanctuary, we don't need it. But it's actually sanctuary cities create safer cities.
Well, and here's the thing. And the reason for this is because you kind of highlighted it, but think about it like this. You cannot function as a society that has a fully operational protective arm when you can't identify who's supposed to be doing the protecting. There is no trust in actually calling those authorities to do their job, because you don't know if they're going to actually go after the perpetrator or go after you, because your crime is looking like something or someone that they would perceive as a perpetrator in this instance. Here's the thing that I have never understood, and why no one has sued the pants off of Pam Bondi, is how are you going to walk up to a person that is non-white and ask them, where were you born? Who are you? Where is your origin? Blah, blah, blah. First of all, how is that even legal? And especially when these people are coming to you masked, do not identify themselves in, role-playing fatigues, and you're just walking down the street, literally. And then on top of that, when these people are detained, we have had numerous reports of people being lost in the system that, some of them are veterans. We don't know where they are. They're supposed to be able to contact family. They're supposed to be able to do this, and they're not allowed to. And no one can tell us where they are. And there is absolutely no sense of urgency from DHS to locate them. They don't care.
No. Look, I think and this begs another kind of question. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and like, imagine, put yourself in this situation. You are waiting for your kid to get home from school. She never comes, right? You go to the school, somebody is on the corner and they say, I saw a masked person. They had a vest on that said law enforcement or federal agent or whatever. They put your kid in the car. Number one, how do you know who that really was, right? Number two, how do you know? How do you have any idea? Number two, who do you call? Who do you call to find out where your daughter is, right? And so the person I was speaking with said, I'm surprised that we haven't heard more about people impersonating ICE to do bad things to people they don't like. And I was like, well, I think we haven't heard about it. I think when all of this shakes loose, we're going to find whole populations of people that have been disappeared that just don't turn up. 500 people, 500 kids are still unaccounted for from the first term of family separation. 500.
Thank you. I was literally about to talk about, we still have unlocated kids. And here's the other piece of all of this. If you don't think that it's bad, because everybody's like, oh, the people are being hyperbolic. No. The Trump administration is backing down from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay. If they are backing down off of something, you better believe that they know that there are some bad things that have yet to come and surface to the public. That will, because that's how this administration operates. They do not sit there and say, hey, this is out of the goodness of our heart. No, they have to be legally and really politically threatened to the point of backing off. And this is where they are. So my personal belief is, because there is an investigation on the Alex Preddy shooting, that, hey, they started looking into this. And I know in the military, if there's a negligent shooting or something like that, they go and look at the training jacket of each individual involved. How many hours did they qualify? They look at background. They do all of that. And I guarantee you that the people involved in that situation are going to be found lacking in training or screening. One of the two, both of which the administration are responsible for. So that's just the thought there.
Well, there's another problem with that, though, and that is that, they have another investigation called the Epstein files that nothing's happening with. And I think the military, and I would love to hear your input on this, but my impression has always been that the military deals in hard truths because they need to do the best that they possibly can. And the only way to do that is to be very honest with what went wrong and why it went wrong, right? And that tells you that ICE is not concerned with being better.
No,
it's not their. That is not their operating principle. Their operating principle really is what the top of ICE says. Homan, terror. It is terror.
If they were about improving their operations, then they would be transparent with the public. But most importantly, they take all that information and feed that right back into their training. You'd see a difference almost instantaneously since they're deployed to a city. You mentioned Epstein, and I think this is a very solid segue. First of all, the latest drop of millions of documents, whatever, and Todd Blanche saying that's pretty much everything. Well, we got the clip. Trump was asked about the latest drop of Epstein files in the Oval Office. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a rare treat because he seems to be fully awake in the Oval Office during this meeting. Despite everything that we heard about energy and vigor, we've seen with our own eyes, it's not necessarily the case. So let's take a look at what he said, Sam. I mean,
I'm going to roll the clip and then I'm going to roll a headline right after.
Mr. President, are you going to sue Trevor Noah? Last night in a post, you alluded that something could be coming.
Yeah, well, he said that I spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I didn't. I mean, he's a lightweight. This guy, he's a terrible. I think he's terrible. I thought he did a terrible job at the Grammys. I thought the whole Grammys was terrible. I watched part of it. It's not watchable, but he was a lousy host. I'd say not as bad as Jimmy Kimmel, but pretty close. And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, I mean, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me.
Well, actually, 5,300 files with references to Mr. Trump-related terms.
And mind you, that's what they're publicly admitting. You cannot get me to believe for 1 second that the most salacious things that deal with Donald John Trump have not been edited, redacted, removed from files. Why do we know this? Because we saw the memo that told FBI agents to do that. So even doing this, you still get 5,300. Okay. And now it seems like Elon Musk is involved. There's just so many people, right, left, center. I don't care. They all should be thrown up in there. I can tell you who's not in there. Obama. I can tell you that. I can go down a long list of people who are not in there that are enemies to this current administration. That being said, how in the world is Congress not holding impeachment hearings on Pam Bondi and company for not meeting their timeline and their requirements? This is what I don't understand.
Mike Johnson has a one seat majority at this point. He's one vote away from losing it all, and it could happen any day, to be fair. But it's interesting that I wonder about America's stomach for this stuff, because we all know, we can see the headlines, right? Even Trump's people know, well, yeah, he's probably in the Epstein files. This guy is a known, he's got videos going back decades of him being a jackass, right? And here he is in the Oval Office saying, the FBI, they've got better stuff to do. Better stuff than investigating a pedophile ring? Probably more than likely the most extensive, most elite, most privileged one we have seen in the history of this country. Let's be real. And then on top of that, for him to sit there and say he had nothing ever to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Does he think he just says that and like Men in Black, he flashes something and we forget? But
the video,
by the way,
I don't know.
The best is when he's like, he said I was on Jeffrey's island, Jeffrey Epstein's island. Like he's on first name basis with this guy. Hasn't even been alive for years. He's like, oh, me and Jeffrey, I don't even know Jeffrey.
Yeah, I just
heard of him today.
I find it fascinating. I think this is how I think this is going to play out, because I get this question all the time. I don't think we're going to get the full trunk of everything until the House flips. Yeah. And then what's going to happen is I think the House is going to flip, and mind you, we'll get whatever little remnants that may be still hidden. Here's what I think, though. I think that's when whistleblowers will step up.
I agree. I think you're right.
I think that's when you'll see people in DOJ, FBI that worked on those files who have to sleep with the fact that, they were not aware, or the public is not aware of how bad this is. That is a big deal, a significant deal. And if I'm being completely honest, I think it's going to ruin not just the careers, but the lives of a lot of prominent people. I really do.
I think that's right. And I think, I think Trump's going to throw everything he can at the midterms.
He has to.
There was a story, Texas, there was a special election. It swung 31 points in a year.
Yep.
To the Dems, right?
Last night.
It is, and whether, special elections, they have their own sort of weird special sauce and all that kind of thing. Nonetheless, 31 points is too big to ignore. He's going to come at this hard. He's already, raided the election office in Fulton County, right?
Yep. I want to talk about that for a second, but go ahead, keep going.
So he's going to throw everything he can. I feel like Election Day 2026 is going to be like the helicopters leaving Hanoi, right? Just paper shredding, fires everywhere. They're going to be like, if the Dems pull this out without our fuckery or even with our fuckery, we got to start burning papers because we have to get rid of evidence because they are going to come hard. The problem being, he still controls the Justice Department.
Well, Steve Bannon famously said if the Democrats get back to the House, they could possibly be going to jail.
Yeah.
Which tells you that there are people in that organization, in that administration, that understand that they are bending rules, if not completely breaking them. The other piece of it, too, you mentioned Fulton County. I was born in Fulton County. I live next door to Fulton County. Okay. For them to send the director of national intelligence, of all people, to Fulton County to get information on the 2020, not the 2024.
Yes.
Not the 2016, but the 2020 election, the one that he lost, is next level. And what's amazing to me is, think about this just logically for 1 second. He loses the election in 2020, wins it in 2024. Not 1 ounce or inkling of impropriety for the 2024 election, even though the Biden administration was in the seat when the election happened. But because he won, everything went fine. But because he lost in 2020, right, everything had to go sideways. It does not make logical sense. If there's a corruption case that you think has happened, then why do you not go after the 2024 election too? And most importantly, GOP, all of y'all that got elected in 2020, why is your election legitimate, but Trump's isn't?
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And Bobby, I was actually going to ask you about that, Tulsi Gabbard being in location. I have a video, but I don't think I have it loaded right now. They asked an administration official, why was she there? And he was like, well,
the director of national intelligence, first of all, shouldn't really be seen out in public anyway. They're supposed to be the ultimate spook. What's ironic is she had a baseball cap and was hiding like she was a spook. But most importantly, she's supposed to deal with foreign information, not domestic. So she is wildly out of her lane. Okay, wildly. What are they going to imply that the Russians helped get Joe Biden elected? I mean, what logical explanation would she have to be part of that raid? And then secondly, who ordered the raid? Was it the Department of Justice? Was it the FBI? Or was it the CIA or other intel organizations that fall under her? Who's in charge?
Look, I think this is another developing story. And I actually, this morning, our producer, Sean, flagged that there's some news coming out about Tulsi Gabbard. Apparently there's some issue that is so wildly bad that it's been 8 months or something, and they still haven't figured out how to tell Congress. And I believe there's another whistleblower coming out.
Yes.
This is something that that we're going to watch, and I have this here actually. Oh, Sean, you do it. Thank you. Me and Sean toggling.
Now, well, first of all, before we even get into it, look at the source, people. Look at the source. This is not some fly-by-night organization, social media reporter. This is the goddamn Wall Street Journal. Okay, so they have to vet. Their vetting process still to
they're
this
reporters.
Day. Exactly. So there's journalistic integrity that's involved here. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
Well, so I was gonna, this is developing. I hope that this continues to develop and we continue to get news about it. But I was gonna ask you to really keep an eye on this because your opinion is the one that I want regarding this story. And so, as we go throughout the week, I hope we can tell our audience here, like, stay tuned because Bobby will probably have something to say.
And understand, you've got to understand her history as a public figure from the time she left the army to the time that she basically rolled into politics. This woman was, someone that the left held up in high regard. Then she went straight Green Party. I mean, she was left as left can get. And then all of a sudden there is a pivot to which no one can explain it. No one has justified it. Most importantly, those who are around her, who knew her, were stupefied at what happened. Now, that's when the whole, okay, she's a Russian asset allegation started. Despite this, Congress allowed this woman to be vetted to be DNI. And for those who don't understand, the Director of National Intelligence, I want to say last check, there were 12 different intel organizations that report to her that deal with foreign information, from allies to adversaries, this, that, and the other. And now all of a sudden, keep in mind, she wasn't involved in the Venezuela operation. She wasn't involved with the Iranian operation. She's not involved. She's not even in the room when they're making these decisions on overseas international strikes and operations. But yet at the same time, she is down here in Fulton County. Now, if this timeline makes sense, as far as when they said this, what, 8 months ago, they said this whatever came up about her, yeah, that's significant, people, because if that is the case, if there was any belief that she has been compromised, this explains why she's been MIA, missing in action on all these major international decisions. And if that is also the case, if it's bad enough that the Trump administration sidelined her because of that whistleblower complaint, then we're talking something significant has happened. And the fact that they're saying it's in a safe or this and Congress cannot get to it, that is complete and utter BS. Congress's job is oversight. They have multiple skiffs, and all of them have top secret clearances, especially the ones on the Intel Committee. So what are we hiding?
Get it out as fast as possible, I think. But think about this, just as a sort of thought experiment. You become president, and you got to pick this DNI, right? And you have somebody who's seems maybe qualified. However, there's some rumor that she's a Russian agent, right? No amount of qualification gets you over that rumor, right? No. A key part of appointing any of these people is the integrity and faith that the American people are meant to put in them, right? She was flawed from the very beginning. I just you have to think, well, why would you pick somebody who's so flawed? And now I'm being conspiratorial, but do you think somebody with a sort of Russian accent perhaps said you need to put her in place?
Well, maybe, but here's the thing.
I'm being conspiratorial.
I don't blame. Oh, well, I get it, but I don't blame Donald Trump for this. I blame the United States Senate. The United States Senate has qualified people into the supposedly vetted and voted to put these people in position. Let's go down the list of these important players in the Trump administration. Tulsi Gabbard, rumored Russian asset, and actions afterwards are showing that could be the case. They knew this before they voted her in. Pete Hegseth, multiple personal integrity strikes against him. They were like, hey, you know what?
Big ones.
Let's go ahead and make him head of the most fearsome Department of War or Defense, whatever the hell they want to call it, the biggest military, most powerful in the world in its history. Cool. Kash Patel, documented conspiracy theorist. What can we do? Where can we put him? Let's go ahead and vet and let him be the head of the #1 investigative arm in the United States. Okay. Then Pam Bondi, documented crackpot. Documented issues when she was in Florida, bought and paid for allegedly by multiple damn influencers. Let's make her the #1 law enforcement officer in America. Oh, and then let's go get Kristi Noem, a woman who, besides the fact that she shot a dog and thought it was cool and bragged about it, you know what I'm saying, had her own corruption charges in her home state in the Dakotas. People don't want to talk about it. So you have all these major flaws that in any other administration would have been glaring red flags, disqualifiers. And the United States Senate, specifically, the Republicans in the Senate, voted all these clowns in, voted them in. And now, Susan Collins, well, I was concerned and all this. You're kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
Well, Bobby, when you put it that way, it does sound like a bad idea.
I mean, I'm just being very real. Forget the Obama comparison. If George H.W. Bush or George W. Bush or freaking, I don't know, Bill Clinton tried to run
William Henry Harrison.
America would be like,
anybody.
what are we doing? But because the ideology of MAGA mattered more than the integrity and the functionality of the United States, we are now at a precipice where the country that we thought we knew since post-Civil War, to be completely honest and real, is in danger of completely falling off of its axis. Because when you look at cost of living, all these other economic things and canaries in the coal mine, along with the separation of the United States from its traditional allies and its isolationism, and the rise, and this is the other thing that I think is being completely underreported, the rise of nationalist groups, whether it's white nationalists, whether it's this, that, and the other in the country, and it's going unchecked to go after the people who actually do the hard work to keep the country together, you know, immigrants that do the jobs that white America and a lot of other America does not want to do. This is a dangerous combination. Dangerous. And the thing is, if you want to know if I'm being over the top with my exaggeration, because I don't think I am, I want you to look at the recent statements of our closest allies: Germany, the UK, France, Japan, South Korea. Go and look at what they have said about the United States in the last 6 months. Okay? They understand. They're going to rearm themselves completely separate of the United States, which is exactly what happened before World War I. We are repeating the same mistakes our great-grandparents made because we have someone in office who is, to be completely honest, paranoid, probably suffering from dementia, doesn't understand that unless it has anything to do with money, why do it? You know, he's completely transactional and doesn't understand the historical connection and ties to allies and the historical responsibility he has as the chief executive of the United States. It's that simple to me.
Yeah, I think, you know, at the turn of the last year, 24 to 25, we were talking about, you know, all of these clowns. And you were like, well, you and me and everyone, we're like, well, you know, you elect clowns and you appoint clowns and you get a circus. And I think it's something it's considerably darker than that, because the United States is not a circus. The United States is a very complicated, massive global economy with responsibilities and relationships that took decades and decades and decades to build. Right. And now it makes me fear. Look, we have an election coming up. What are we going to be talking about? What does the stuff that's happening right now lead to 1 year from now?
Right. And that's the thing. Right. Okay. Even let's play this out real quick, because I've done this multiple times in my head. Even if the Democrats do take the House, and let's say they close the gap in the Senate to where, okay, you just can't assume that the Senate's going to give you a rubber stamp. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? How are you going to be able to operate when it's obvious the executive branch does not give a damn what you say? It's obvious that the highest level of the judiciary is basically been a rubber stamp for whatever Trump wants, which is why some of these cases coming in front of them is going to be damn interesting, because if they go with Trump, they're neutering themselves as a judiciary branch, right? All of these different things have come to a head, but it's all calculated. Steve Bannon said this before Trump got reelected. He said, we're going to saturate everything to where you cannot defend against everything. That is a war tactic that goes all the way back to goddamn the Roman Empire and all this other kind of stuff. Got it. But here's the thing. You knew it was coming, right? You knew it was coming. And the biggest field against it are the 535 members of the United States Congress. Yeah. And for some reason, whether it's they have something on these people or whatever, they have chosen not to do their constitutional duty. The 17 things that they're supposed to do, every damn last one of them has been compromised for Trump at some point since he's been in office. Period. Period. Yeah. I mean, we're in a partial shutdown right now. Yeah. Where's the House? What are they doing? These are the questions that I have. These are the questions that I have. We should probably wrap up soon, but and also just an amazing episode, Bobby, and I had all these plans in the beginning of like, oh, we're going to preview the stories we're going to talk about. Yeah. But we talk about muzzle velocity, man. We got shot out of the cannon
I'm, these are all things that are swirling around. I think that we need to take heart from Texas. That's an amazing sign. They didn't stop that election. We take heart from Liam Ramos being released. And that is an amazing sign. There are things that are happening. I think the Minneapolis resistance is incredible, and it shows us the real way. And if we don't, the rest of us who aren't in Minneapolis don't start paying attention, we're going to have to be doing that out of necessity.
Very much so.
Very soon.
Very much so. And to kind of wrap all this up, and the fourth thing that we're going to talk about, but it's kind of symbolic. President Trump is saying that the Kennedy Center is going to be shut down for 2 years, right? Mind you, the name, the real name of that place, who it's named after, and it being shut down because in reality, no one wants to perform there while this man is in charge of it. Is symbolic of what we're going through as a nation. Now, they said that this because they're going to have renovations done. You want to know why they're lying? Because when they announced the renovations to the East Wing in the ballroom at the White House, they were ready with pictures and diagrams and finished product looks for everybody to consume so we could go ooh and ah. Ain't seen not one for the Kennedy Center. Not a one. Now one, as we say.
It's Trump's big thing too, right? Construction, remodeling.
Oh, yeah.
Development, all that stuff. That's his thing.
So, for those who will be like, hey, this is going to be good for the Kennedy Center, that's what he's doing, blah, blah. Show me the pictures.
Yeah. They're going to get new carpet, and it's going to take them 2 years. Right.
I mean, the reality is he's embarrassed because no one wants to perform there. So many A-listers said, nope, not while you're on the board there. Nope, not while that name has been changed. Nope, we're not doing it. And so instead of having canceled show after canceled show and empty seats, sort of like, his wife's movie that came out this weekend, and, and just to divert just a little bit on the humor there, man, that's embarrassing to see Australia, to see the UK and everybody go out of their way not to buy a ticket, not to see it, to show you empty movie theaters on social media for this. Boy, could you imagine that happened to like a Jackie Kennedy? Right?
No.
Or what if Michelle Obama did a dang biopic? You think that'd be the case? Or would it be sold out?
I mean, look, I think, I came up in media and like for years, you have a script or you have a project, you shop it around, and the EPs or the network or the funders or whoever, they say, who's the audience for this? Is there anything like it? Do you have comps? Who's buying this ticket? How am I going to make my money back?
Right.
Bezos gave him $40 million to license this thing. Nope. It's a documentary.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
There is, and never doing diligence. It is so, it's like, look, if somebody allowed me to make a movie that sucked, I would be humiliated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If somebody was like, oh yeah, this movie, I didn't read the script, I'm sure it's great. Here's $10 million, go make it. And then it hits the theaters and it's a piece of crap. I would bury my head and never come out of my house again.
The fact that Brett Ratner is the guy that they pulled out to do it, someone who's been totally disgraced. Listen, it's funny. I said this weekend, the one thing that people can do that can really get the attention of President Trump is embarrassment. It's not money. It's embarrassment. This is embarrassing. Yeah. It really, really is. Yeah. You could tell at the premiere the body language of both of them and how separated they were, and this, that, and the other. They wasn't exactly what you see at a regular red carpet. It's a bribe, of some sort that Bezos felt was worth it. But the fact that the world so overwhelmingly rejected it, not just the United States, the world, because they debuted it all over the world. And people were like, yeah, nah.
Like it's not even good propaganda. You know what I mean? Like at least like the Nazis made propaganda that stirred up the population, right? They
Right.
And again, Nazis bad. I get it totally. But you know what I'm saying? As far as like terrible propaganda goes, this is not it. It doesn't do anything for anybody. Nobody wants to see it.
I've never seen anything like it. And for Trump, who speaks celebrity, that's his language.
Yeah.
You know, to this day, he still name drops, right? For him in a period of 48 hours to watch, you know, his wife's documentary just get completely torched by critics, by monetary value, which he understands. And then for him to sit there and announce the shutting down of the Kennedy Center because he, who named himself president of the Kennedy Center Performing Arts Board, cannot get A-list talent to go in there. That is humiliating.
It's just imagine the if he hadn't closed it down, the schedule over the next 2 years, it'd be like, Kid Rock every Tuesday, Scott Baio reading poetry on Thursdays.
Yeah.
We've got an open mic night, on Saturday nights. It's like terrible.
It's bad, but it speaks to the state of American culture at the moment. Americans forget politics. I would ask those of you watching, do you feel pride in what America is at its 250th anniversary?
Right.
It's that simple. Just take into account everything you've seen the last year. We're now a year plus 10 days of the second Trump administration. It's the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence this year. Okay, where at least we as a country recognized ourselves as a nation, whether or not the world did or not, that's irrelevant. The United States said we're here. Where do you put your pride meter on a scale of 1 to 10 on what America is currently, right now? This snapshot, not the movie. The movie's one thing, but this snapshot in time of how you view America. Because everything we've mentioned today is very uniquely American. How we welcome immigrants. We've been welcoming immigrants since the beginning of before this country was a thing, right? You look at how we do law and order and how we came up with these amendments to the Constitution because we wanted true freedom for citizens, right? And then when you look at the protection of the law, is it equal to everybody, or do the elite get a pass? And then finally, the art that we have created uniquely as Americans that used to be displayed and highlighted at the Kennedy Center has now gone away. Scale of 1 to 10. Tell me, where do you feel we are as a country at the precipice of the 250th anniversary of the United States?
I think, I want to roll a clip before we wrap up on that. And I think I know where I feel like we are, but I still feel like we've got something in us. Let me just roll this real quick.
Before I say thanks to God, I'm going to say eyes out.
He goes on to say, we're not animals, right?
Right.
And
first of all, he's an American.
He's an American.
Because I saw the social media comments when this man made this speech. I'm like, you guys do realize that Puerto Rico is part of the United States of America, and he's a full-fledged American. And it just befuddled the mind, and this may be a reflection of our education system or whatever. But for him to say it, and to say it with that heavy accent, knowing that he's American, I think it's a powerful visual, a powerful audio clip, because he's 100% right.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are going to have a fit when he performs at the Super Bowl, because I don't think he gives a damn.
Man, I'm here for it. I
don't think he gives a damn. And guess what? The NFL, they're smarter than most businesses. They're like, nope, we understand the moment, just like they had Kendrick Lamar last year. They have Bad Bunny this year. While everybody's going to sit there and poo-poo it, go check out the ratings last year for Kendrick Lamar. Okay?
Yeah.
Watch this year with Bad Bunny. I think it's going to be even bigger. So, hey.
I do too.
I'm here for it too, Sam. I'm here for it.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it next week.
Yep. Well, until then, people, Hey, stay glued to Lincoln Square, both on YouTube and Substack, because it seems like every day something new pops up. Luckily, Sam and the team there have put together a consistent lineup again of subject matter experts. These are not just people who just walk off the street and be like, I want to comment on something. They have done it. They've been there, they've done it, and understand the ramifications. Like
my good friend Bobby Jones, PS. One of the best experts we have on staff here. You're an incredible resource for us, and I really mean it. Every time this Tulsi Gabbard thing happened this morning, I was like, I can't wait to talk to Bobby.
Yeah, that's why. That's so why.
Yeah, maybe if anything happens, I'm going to call you and see if we can go live again.
Yep.
Because this could be explosive. We'll see.
Yep, I'll be here. All right, guys, y'all take it easy. Thanks.